I do apologize if that shows up. So anyway, back to the warehouse. The torch is the goals. That's where we're heading. It gives us heaps of direction, momentum, and it activates everything inside us. And while we're on a course of achieving our goals, lots of good things come out of us that we don't quite understand or never thought we could do it or it was possible. There are a lot of sorry, there are a lot of goal setting structures out there, and there's heaps, and they all work. But the one thing that sort of limits our goals from being achieved is the action. We can have the structure, we can have everything in place, but if we don't act on it, you got no chance. No chance at all. So this is the structure that I love. And it starts with a goal, an understanding, a direction. This is where we're going. A why, which we'll get into very shortly. Measurable targets. How will I benefit from achieving this goal? I think that's a really good question, because if we don't understand what we're going to get out of something, why do it? Specific steps I need to take. These are things that we can tick off. External obstacles, psychological obstacles, and probably my favorite, the scoreboard, which we'll get into at the end. So we'll start with my goal and basically what we're doing and how to put it together. Start with the end in mind. What is your desired outcome? This is a really tough question to answer. It's really easy to come up with 1,000 different answers to this question, but what is it specifically that you want? What is it that is your desired outcome? This actually, you could come up with 1,000, like I was saying, but what really means what to you? Is your outcome about something for you, or does it involve others? And for me, I think that this answer here to this question needs to be about you. It can't be about anybody else. It has to be about you. And if it's not about you, I think that you'll find it very difficult to achieve it, because it won't be real enough for you. There won't be enough consequences involved if it's not about you. If it's about somebody else, you may need to restructure it, because without the emotional attachment, you'll find it very difficult. And this is a problem, like say for instance you're a network marketer, and there's a few network marketers on tonight. If we're achieving a goal and our goal is to make money, who you're making it for and what is your reason? That there is the key. If your reason is a negative reason, because I want to rule the world, you're probably not going to make it. I apologize for breaking your heart if you were out there. However, this is a problem. If your negative reasons, then you got no chance. What is it that you truly want to achieve? Again, start with the end in mind. It's very, very important. Give yourself a realistic time frame. That is probably one major reason why people don't achieve their goals. And then they think, well, what do I need to set goals? I never achieve any. And it's because we restrict ourselves and limit ourselves to what we can do. And I know that there's a saying about create goals that make your hands itch, that make your heart pump. There's something missing there, because you could set that, and this is why people don't like goals anymore. When they first started up with goals, everything was exciting. There was a push, there was a direction. And now there's been so much disappointment because they've set a time frame. I want to make $1 million in a month. Is that truly possible? If you haven't already got something lined up, I think that you're going to find it very difficult to make $1 million in a month. What resources do you need? There's so much goes into it, and that there is a real key point. You've got to give yourself a realistic time frame. So moving on to my why. This is probably one of the favorite things for me because recently I've learned from a guy named Simon Sinek. And if you like, check him out on YouTube. He's got a really good TED Talk. He talks purely about why you're doing something. What is it that you're doing? He uses an example with Apple and Dell, I think it is, where Dell pushed out, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And then Apple come out and said, this is why we do it. We believe that a computer should just work. And then all of a sudden, Dell lost all their support and everybody started buying Apple. And that's why we need a why. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that's one of those things that Simon says is, funny enough, Simon says, and I encourage everybody to remember that phrase. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Very, very important. If you're coming from the inside out, there's nothing that can limit you if you come from the inside out. If you come from the outside in, I want, you'll find that you'll find that greed comes in. I want money. I want. Not what can I give and why am I doing it? Your why must be a compelling reason. If it's not a compelling reason, it's not going to be real enough. Why am I going to achieve something that isn't compelling to me? Why am I ever going to put myself out there if it's not compelling to me? If I don't feel it, if I can't see the end in mind, if I can't feel all the things that come along with setting a goal, and if I was to visualize the end in mind, and I can't feel satisfied or fulfilled, then I'm never going to achieve that goal. I'm never going to take the first steps. You'll never achieve a goal without a compelling reason. Like I was saying, this may stretch your thinking because have you ever thought about why you're doing something? Or have you only thought about what I'm doing? Because it's so often I have clients and I speak to players and I speak to people in general that I meet. They all know what they're doing. They don't know why they're doing it. Are they doing it because it fulfills them? Or are they doing it out of a need for somebody else? Are they doing it because somebody's told them that's what they should do? Or are they doing it for themselves? And without fully understanding your why, how will you ever achieve? Is this a goal something you really want? And this is what, when you think about your why, this is what breaks down. It breaks down everything that you thought you were doing right, and then understands it from a point of what is right for me, what is right for my soul. And it's very important to be able to understand this. Without a why, you got no chance, really. You'll fumble your way through it and you'll get to that destination. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But at the end, Are you going to be fulfilled? Is this something for you? And this is what that why does. It may even change what your goal was. If your goal was to make $1 million this year and your why was because I want to be rich, well, that's not a compelling reason. Because why do you want to be rich? What is it that money will give you? What do you get out of having $1 million job? Apart from the heartache and the long hours that are possibly involved in having that $1 million a year job, what are you getting out of it? And why are you doing it? So it's just something you think about when you're setting your goals. The next thing for me is measurable targets. You got to be able to tick things off. Where are you heading? And measurable targets keep us on track. And they allow you to see things in real time for you to say, okay, well, I'm on track. I'm heading in the right direction and this is feeling good. I'm heading towards where I want to go. The problem that people fall into is their measurable targets are not achievable with a realistic time frame. And sometimes, like if you were to get into the whole law of attraction says that like attracts like, and that's true. And even if it's not true, I believe that it is. And because I believe it is, it is. So there's one thing that's missing there is that action. Now I could think about this and I want to make $1 million in 5 years. I want to be making $1 million a year in 5 years. And I'm going to think about it and think about it and think about it. And all these ideas are going to come up. But if I don't act on one, what's the point? Like will attract like only with the action. And it's the action bit that we forget. And having measurable targets to understand that this is where I'm heading and I'm on the right track is very, very important, because how do you know you're going to get there if you don't know where you are? If you're not, okay, this is my first step. I know that I need to take a step forward up the stairs. Now, if I don't lift one of my feet up onto that step, I'm never going to be able to know that I can do it. So that measurable target, knocking them off, will allow you to know that you're on the right track. And I need you to know that sometimes you need to be flexible with those measurable targets. Set your target, set your time frame. Now, once you've achieved the first target, something else might come up that'll head you in a different direction. And you'll hear me say this a lot tonight. If something else comes up and gives you another target, take it if it's right for you. Don't sit there and go, I wish I could do that, but my goals and my measurable targets are all here. Be adaptable, be flexible. Without that flexibility, you'll never love life. There could be so many things that you miss out on purely by having that tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is great for the start. It's a great thing to get us motivated and getting up and moving. Very, very important. However, behavioral flexibility is more important. When you look at here, you got an example that I've put here as a goal, 15 kilos in 15 weeks. My why? Become healthy to live longer for myself and my family. That's a compelling why. Why am I doing it? Because I love my family and I love myself. And you're proving it to yourself there by saying that why. The measurable target. This is possible. 1 kilo per week for 15 weeks. That is possible. It's in a realistic time frame. Not 15 kilos in 3 weeks. That may be unrealistic. And we'll get into more about that later, but we need to stay focused on being realistic and being achievable. What is achievable for us? And it's time frames, especially. You could have an outrageous goal. But if you have an outrageous time frame, it's the time frame that'll make you disappointed when you don't achieve it. However, if you keep everything, and I know I've said this before, but I'm saying this in another way. If you keep that time frame realistic and achievable, the measurable target becomes achievable. How will I benefit from achieving this goal? And I really like this question. I actually love this question. What will I get out of this goal? Now you see here on this page, I've got a lot of questions here, and I could probably put another 100 more. However, it's important to know what I'm going to get out of this. What will I feel? What will happen when I achieve this goal? And that there is, wow, I get to play with this. I get to visualize and see the end. What will happen when I achieve this goal? Will I be fulfilled? Will my family be happier? And this is another thing too. What won't happen if I don't achieve this goal? And you got to play both ways, because if I can understand what won't happen, then I might inflict enough pain in myself to get up off the couch and lose that 15 kilos. And this is a pain-inflicting question, because if I set my goal and it's really important to me, and because I've got a really great why and I've got some fantastic measurable targets, and then I come to this question and I say, what won't happen if I don't achieve this goal? I'll get fatter. I'll get lazier. I won't live as long. And can you see how this just keeps inflicting pain? Pain enough for me to go, hey, I want to live longer. Get off the couch. Bang them up, and I start. Once I've started, I won't turn back, because I'm a different person now. Things have changed. I've changed the course of my life just by getting off the couch. And whatever that action is, I'll give you an example, a personal example of mine. I want to lose weight. This is true. My exercise bike sits in my front room where nobody uses it, and it collects heaps of dust. I actually had to wipe it down when I got it out. And I thought about this, and I asked myself that question. What won't happen if I don't do this? And I'll lose mobility. I won't get to hang out with my son, Patrick. He won't get to know me when he's an adult. And so my first action was to get that bike out of that room and put it somewhere where I can use it, somewhere where I'll see it every day. And it will remind me to get my fat ass off the couch and get on that bike. And so I moved that bike 2 days ago. I've been on it once. However, it's there and it reminds me. And the one thing that it does really well for me is that I know I've taken the first step, and it doesn't hurt so much at all. Does not hurt. So it's really important to play both sides. What am I going to get out of it, and what am I going to get if I don't do it? What will you be able to do / give once you have achieved this goal? And I want you to understand that this question should realistically be only give. What can I give? If you give, the universe will give to you. So what can I give? What things can you see in your future once you have achieved this goal or outcome? And we've covered that, I think. However, if you can answer these questions on a regular basis, you know you're heading in the right direction. What am I going to get out of the next step? And you could say that. What am I going to get out of this measurable target? out of this lead measure. It's really important, I think, that the more questions we can ask, and if you want more, I can email them to you. The more questions we can ask, the more broken down our goals get, the more focused they get. And remember, what we focus on is what we get. And so break it down. Ask as many questions as you can. Specific steps I need to take. Now, I can understand that this might go, well, isn't that a measurable target? No, it's not. This is the background. These are also known as lead measures. What will I do to get that measurable target? What can I do? This is the action bit. And you get to play around with that action. So list the steps to follow. And this one here, keep them to 2 to 3 max. Very, very important. And the reason for that is it has been proven through different studies that our brains can only keep up with 2 or 3 steps at a time. If we broaden them out to 5, 6, 10, which one do I do first and how do I do it? And this overload causes us to freeze and not move forward. And because of that, your goals, your measurable targets, your why all gets thrown out the window because I'm overloaded. And that overload gets shut down here. We can close off that overload by keeping everything to 2 or 3 specific steps. Now, some of these things, there might be more steps that you need to take before you action. So I need to get that bike out of the front room and put it in the back room where I can see it every day. The next action would be make sure I've got appropriate clothing. Make sure I've got a spin class that I can get off YouTube and play while I'm on the bike. I need to make sure I've got a drink bottle. All these things, all these processes I need to have before I can start really pushing myself. So those things are one thing. That's before this. Okay? The specific steps I need to take, and they're lead measures. Okay, and we'll get into that a little bit later when I get into the scoreboard. But this gives you the pathway. This gives you the action. And it must align with your measurable targets. So if I do this action, I will get this measurable target, and so on and so on. What steps do you think you would need to follow to achieve your outcome? Very, very important too, because you could do the wrong steps and not achieve your targets. And if you don't achieve your targets, you're going to pull out on your goal. And we don't want that. We definitely do want that. We want to keep everything simple actions that I can start. And you've got to be believing them. You've got to believe in that you can do that action. And this is that part where you start to show to yourself and prove to yourself that you can do something. You're better than beyond what you do now. So for me, I want to lose weight. I know that I need to do these actions. I need to get on that bike. I need to ride my bike for a good half an hour every day. Is that possible? Yes. Will I have to get up earlier? Probably. Is that okay? Yes. Because the pain is more than the pain of getting up earlier, half an hour. Again, stay flexible. Behavioral flexibility, very, very important here. Without that behavioral flexibility, we won't understand or decide that this action isn't getting me to where I want to go. This isn't getting my measurable targets. And that's important. We have to understand that behavioral flexibility is very, very important to recognize that this isn't working and change it. Change the action. and ask yourself questions. Just question yourself. How can I go about achieving my outcomes? What actions will I need to take? Go through the process again. It's not going to take long. Once you start to memorize some of these questions, you'll do them in your sleep. And it's really, really beneficial to you in every way possible. So we're going to move into external obstacles. External obstacles. When you think about that, what do you think? I think who? More so, because if I know there is somebody in my life who's going to stop me or limit me from achieving my goal, I need to recognize that. And I need to stop it and think, how much time do I need to spend with this person? Are they good for me? Are they good for my goals? Are they good for my measurable targets? Are they good for my actions? Are they, and even more importantly, are they good for my why? Very, very, very important. Will they help my why? No, then they've got to move on. And limit your time with those people. They can still be your friends, no problems, but you need to limit your time with those people. So, what external problems could arise while on your journey toward your goal? Come up with a list of them. You know what's going to come up. You know it. You know in your heart and soul. And this is the part where you get to be honest. You have to be honest. Because without that honesty, you're not going to achieve. So what problems will arise? And again, who close to you could hinder your success? Remember, limit the time with those people. What tools do you need to achieve your outcome? Again, another really good question. And this is the next side of things. Once you've had that list of things, of external obstacles that are going to arise, come up with ways in dealing with them now, so that when they come up, you can go, oh, that's it. This is my action plan to deal with this problem. Because this is, again, another thing that stops us from achieving. It's like a spanner in the works. Once that spanner gets in there, so many times we see people, and I've done it myself, you see that spanner and go, now there's a reason to not achieve. There's a reason not. I've just proven to myself that I was right. And because I don't have an action plan for moving forward and moving on from it, I tend to, and I'm talking about myself, although I hope that this is connecting with a lot of you. I see myself backing away. Every time the spanner comes in, I back away because I've just proven to myself that I can't do it, that this was going to be a problem. And because it's a problem, I need to back away. However, if I was able to go, hang on a second, you knew this was going to happen, and this was your action plan, then I could just have to follow the steps. I don't have to think about it. I could just work off the cuff. Here it is. I just read it. And all of a sudden, I'm proving to myself, yes, you're right. This is going to come up. And this is how I'm going to deal with it. I'm not going to sit by and allow my hopes, my dreams, and that pain that I've inflicted on myself earlier on to come back. I'm a different person now, and I prove it to myself and take another step and work around it. And sometimes that may affect your time frames. Readjust them. It's okay. Don't sit back just because, in a month's time, I'm not going to be able to achieve my goal and it's going to get pushed back 2 weeks, so I need to back away. No. Push the time frame back. What will stop you And this is the only thing that will stop you from achieving your goals. It's not the external obstacles, it's you and how you deal with them. If you choose to allow them to own your goals, own your life, then you're allowing life to happen. You're not living life. That's the way I see it. And I could be wrong, but strategies to combat your external problems along the way will make a massive impact in the way you experience life. I can guarantee it. And that moves us on to the psychological obstacles. Those psychological obstacles, how honest are we going to be about it? How honest are we going to be about our fear, our guilt, our worry? Am I good enough? Will people like me? Will I still be loved at the end of the day? And it's those three universal fears that can hinder everything. And everything can fall out. What you need to understand is people in our lives for certain reasons. And they're going to be there for certain lengths of time, and they're going to give you something. They're going to give you a tool. They're going to give you companionship. They're going to pick you up and carry you through a tough time. And that's okay. That's great. Thank you. And you're going to respond in a really great way, I'm sure of it. However, they don't have to be there forever. This is life. This is as real as it gets. I'm trying to be as honest as I can be here, but if I sugarcoat it, what are you going to get out of it? I can only be as honest as I can. So these psychological issues, these psychological obstacles that we continually battle day-to-day life can stop us and hinder us and affect our experiences. So what experiences have you gone through that have created beliefs that has caused limits on you? What are they? Be as honest as you can. What beliefs do you have that you can foresee preventing you from achieving your goal? Write them down. Put them down. What are your values around this outcome? That's a really good question. What is it that you value? Do you value this outcome? Is your measurable targets, do you value them? Do you believe them? Do you believe in yourself? If you don't, soul search it. And at the bottom, you'll see here, I'll put personal development. All of these questions throughout this whole night, you will see in this webinar, you will see you will change. This is the personal development that you're looking for in your goal setting. Setting your goals and then questioning yourself the reasons why you've set it will allow you to grow. You will not be the same person once you've done this, once you start actioning it. Once you start writing it down and being honest, and you can look at them. This is the great thing about writing this stuff down, is you get to see it and then reread it. And then you get to go, that's a whole lot of crap. Or, you know what? I never really thought about it that way until I wrote it down. And this is that personal development. Once you've come up with your psychological obstacles and you're as honest as possible, and you'll probably find that the first two will be very superficial. Once you get into 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, as many as you can come up with, you'll see how deep you're getting into you. So again, that's that development. Once you've got that list, come up with ways of combating them, ways of dealing with them. Because again, if you've got an action plan for a problem, you can overcome it because you know you can. You've already come up with the action. You just need to move. And that's a really important thing, I think. Create the strategies. Come up with them. You can do it. And it might scare you a little bit, and you might go, well, I really didn't know this about myself. I've always thought it. I know I have, but I've never seen it. Now it's written down. I don't know. And all of a sudden, we've written this down, we've developed, we've come up with an action plan, and you know what? This really isn't such a big problem. It's what I've made it mean that has created the issue. It's not something that someone's given me. It's not a virus. I'm the virus. My thoughts, my ego, they're the virus. And you know what? That's in our control. So control it. Come up with the action plan and you'll see it's not such a big deal. You'll be able to get through it. You will be a different person, bigger, stronger, faster human being that everyone will love purely by doing this exercise. My favorite bit, the scoreboard. You know, it's been proven that when people are keeping score, there's more engagement. Do you remember growing up, maybe you played a little bit of footy in the backyard, basketball, cricket, backyard cricket with your brothers or your family, Christmas time. It was always good fun until someone says, how many runs have you scored? How many points have you scored? And once you've started keeping score, you've the energy has lifted. Now I have to win. I can't be happy with second. We're conditioned this way. We've got to be number one. So when somebody creates a competition, everything changes. And we're going to do the same thing here with our goals. One thing that scoreboards do is creates accountability. Now, if we display our make this scoreboard up, you could literally grab a piece of cardboard and draw it on, paint it on, create some sort of measuring tool, which is a scoreboard, and each week just add to the score or subtract it. Are you winning the game? And this is the idea. Within 5 seconds, if I look at that scoreboard, I've got to know whether I'm winning the game or not. And literally, you could come up with 1,000 different scoreboards. They could be digital, it could be on a whiteboard and you just draw it on. So many different ways you can do this. And you'll see that when you display them in front of other people for everybody to see, they will see whether you're winning or losing. And that there is enough for you to make sure that you will always stay ahead of the game. Your lead measures, they will always push you to stay in front of the game. So that when people walk into your house or your office or whatever it is, your team look at it and go, how do I contribute to that? You're losing. Hey, what's going on? And all of a sudden, now I'm accountable. And I'm accountable to myself, which is number one, and my team and everybody who walks in my front door. And this here, I'm telling you, things change. Once it's a competition, you would have known this if you've ever played Monopoly. You play Monopoly with your family. As soon as that board goes down, it's game on. It's on. And I remember me and my cousins used to play Trouble. It's that game with a dice in the middle and you just click it up and down. And you got to get all your colors in a row. And as soon as that board hit the floor, it's on. I'm going to be red. Now I'm going to be blue. I'm going to stick it up here. And it's on. And really, it's not worth it. But something takes over when it's a competition. And let's do that here. Create a scoreboard. And then put your lead measures next to it. So that next to your scoreboard, you can see the actions that you need to take to win the game. This is how we're going to win the game. And that way, you'll see every time that you look at that scoreboard, you see the actions you need to take. And this is where that behavioral flexibility has come in, because if my lead measures are not getting my targets and I'm not winning the game, I need to change those lead measures. Those actions have to change. And that's where that behavioral flexibility comes in. So I'll give you an example. This is just one I've done on Word, just for the sake of the presentation. This person here wanted to lose, as you can see, 6 kilograms in 6 weeks. And their lead measures are to ride a spin bike 30 minutes every day, attend 3 fitness classes per week, and follow a nutrition plan. 3, that's it. And if I follow those 3, I'll win the game. And here, they've won. They actually lost 7 kilos in 6 weeks. So at the start, you can see they weren't winning. Their target was to have 4 kilograms lost by the second week, which is really, this is the example that, is it achievable? Yeah, is it really achievable? Is my timeline, is it going to support my lead measures, my action plans? And in this case, they got pretty close, but they didn't quite get it. However, from there, they could see they weren't winning the game. So they upped it up, and you can tell because they ended up 1 kilo off to where they wanted to be. They only wanted to have 6, they lost 7. And this is a true scoreboard. I put it together for this. I should have taken a photo of the actual scoreboard. However, it's pretty personal, and the client didn't necessarily want me to do it. So this here, you can see what a massive change this has done for this person. Lost 7 kilos in 6 weeks, purely based on the competition. The scoreboard effectively held them accountable, and it's very, very important. I think that this is the fun bit. The scoreboard's the fun bit. It's that, you know what, I'm nearly there, or I'm kicking this game's ass, and we get to see it in real time. It takes 5 seconds. If you look at this here, this scoreboard, it takes 5 seconds to know at any week where I'm at. And I suggest that you update your scoreboards as much as you can. And it's got to be done periodically. So whether that be a week, whether you do it every 3 days, every day, whatever it is, you want to update it as much as you can, but always update it that many times. So if it's once a week, always update it on the same day. If it's every 3 days, always update it. And say, for instance, you update it on a Wednesday, always update it on that Wednesday, always. And then that way you'll be able to see everything in real time. So I hope that you enjoyed that. Again, like I was saying, as I was promised, I'll give you the PDF documents on how to do this for yourself. On top of that, you'll be able to start your goal setting today. As soon as it hits your email account, you'll be able to start. It's already there. The tables are drawn up, and all you have to do is fill them in. And I'm really, really interested to hear about your goal setting. So set your goals up and send them in to me. I'll be rapt to see them. I'd love to see the stretching that happens in a person when they write them down. And if you've had to write them down 2 or 3 times, that's okay. I would love to see all of them, because it'd be interesting to see where you started, that first original goal, to where it is now. And by answering all those questions, what did you end up with? Very, very interested to see that. You get a recorded version of this webinar and email support, like I was saying. Stay in contact, stay engaged, and let me help you. Because of this email support, let me hold you accountable. Let me be your hand, your confidant to walk you through it. Let me get you there. Let me help you. Um, Stay in contact at 100%. I'd like to thank everybody for joining this webinar. If there's any questions, please pop them in, and I'll answer them now. There's not a great deal of activity happening out there, and I hope that's a good thing. Again, thank you so much for attending this webinar. And the next webinar is on listening skills. So I think that one there is going to be a killer. That one is the best, because when you think you're a very good listener, you learn so much more about listening. Things change, and what you thought before is definitely not. You're not definitely where you were. You'll definitely get a lot out of the next one. So because there's no questions, I'd like to thank everybody again for joining this webinar. Look forward to seeing you on the next one, and have a good week. Take care.